That ring in the showroom case, sparkling under perfect spotlights, cost the store less than your monthly grocery bill. The markup you're about to pay is not for the diamond. It's for the box, the bow, the name etched on the receipt, and the lease on the mall storefront. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which 6 diamond brands are designed to extract the most money from the least informed buyers. You'll also learn the 3 places where the math actually works in your favor. If you already bought from one of these brands, you are not stupid. You were targeted. The entire industry is engineered to make smart people feel safe paying 2, 3, sometimes 5 times what a stone is worth. The villain here isn't a single jeweler. It's a marketing machine almost a century old, built on one slogan that convinced the world a rock from the ground was worth 3 months of your salary. We're going to walk past that machine together. 2 things I want you to stay for. One of the brands on this list sells diamonds that have failed independent regrading by entire color and clarity tiers. Almost no buyer ever finds out. At the end, I'm going to show you the single number on a grading report that tells you in 3 seconds whether you're being overcharged. Nobody at the counter will ever point to it. Before any of that, here's the mental model. Hold this in your head for the rest of the video. A diamond has 2 prices. There's the material price, which is what the stone is actually worth on the wholesale market based on the 4 C's. Then there's the story price, which is what the brand convinces you to pay on top of that material price for marketing, store ambiance, packaging, and the feeling of buying something special. The material price is real. The story price is air. Every brand we're about to discuss sells you air at a different markup. Your job, from this minute forward, is to look at any ring and ask yourself how much of this number is material and how much is story. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Start with the first one, the mall chain with the heart-shaped logo, the one whose commercials made you feel something around the holidays. Look at their loose diamond inventory and notice something odd. Their stones are almost never graded by GIA, the lab that built the 4 C's system and is treated by the trade as the strictest grader. They use their own in-house reports or smaller labs known in the industry for grading more generously. Independent gemologists who have retested stones from these chains have repeatedly found color grades inflated by 1 to 3 tiers. Clarity grades are pushed up similarly. A stone sold to you as an H-color SI1 might regrade at GIA as a K-color I1. That's not a small difference. That's thousands of dollars of value that doesn't exist. The store isn't lying on paper. They just used a paper that says what they need it to say. But here's the nuance. Their service plans and free resizing actually do have value if you intend to keep wearing the ring for decades and never look at the resale. The trap is thinking you bought an investment. You bought a service contract with a rock attached. Which brings me to the second brand, the one with stores in every upscale outdoor shopping center. They're marketed as a step above the mall. Their pitch is the proprietary cut, the patented number of facets, the special light performance. Here's what they don't tell you. A proprietary cut means the stone can only be accurately compared to itself. You cannot take their signature diamond to another jeweler and get a competitive bid because no one else cuts that shape. You're locked in. The premium over a standard round brilliant of equal weight, color, and clarity routinely runs 30% to 40%. For light performance differences, most people cannot see without a loupe and a trained eye. The next brand on the list is even worse because it took the proprietary cut idea and added a celebrity. You know the one. Heavy magazine advertising, often partnered with red carpet names, sold mostly through department store concessions. The diamonds themselves are frequently sourced from the same wholesalers everyone else uses. What you're paying for is a brand license. The wholesale to retail markup on these pieces can hit 8 or 10 times the material cost. I once watched a customer trade in a piece like this after 4 years and recover roughly 12% of what they paid. The store offered her store credit, not cash, and she took it because the alternative was worse. But the fourth brand makes that one look honest. This is the online "we cut out the middleman" disruptor that ran ads everywhere claiming wholesale prices direct to you. Pull up their listings and compare them to the actual trade prices on the dealer networks gemologists use. The markup is still there. It's smaller than a mall chain, sure, but it's nowhere near wholesale. They position themselves as the smart buyer choice and quietly price themselves like a traditional jeweler with a website. Their grading reports are usually from real labs, which is the one redemption, but the direct savings pitch is a story price, just dressed in tech, startup clothing. So if those 4 are out, what about the heritage names? The ones with the blue boxes, the red boxes, the centuries-old logos? Here is where it gets uncomfortable. These brands sell genuinely well-made pieces. The craftsmanship is real, But the premium over an identical stone in an identical setting from an unbranded jeweler is the highest in the entire industry, often 3 to 5 times. You are paying for the box. You are paying for the doorman. You are paying for the ability to say where it came from. If that matters to you emotionally, that is your decision and it is valid. But understand clearly that the day you walk out of the store, 60% to 70% of what you paid evaporates from the resale value. The blue box does not come back with you to the pawn counter. The sixth one is the quietest and maybe the most damaging. The estate and antique sellers who price vintage rings as if scarcity alone justifies any number. Some genuine antique pieces are worth a premium because of intact original craftsmanship, signed makers, or documented provenance. Most are not. Most are simply old rings with worn settings and chipped stones, priced at modern retail plus a history tax. If the seller cannot name the maker, the era with specificity. Show you a stone graded under modern standards, the antique label is doing the work of the story price. You are buying someone else's used ring at a markup. Now, if you are watching this and you already bought from one of these brands, listen carefully. You are not stuck. The piece on your finger is still a real diamond. The metal is still real metal. The love it represents is not diminished by any markup. What you can do, starting today, is get the stone independently graded by GIA or AGS if it hasn't been. The cost is small. The information is power. If you ever insure it, you'll have accurate paperwork. If you ever upgrade, you'll know what you actually have to trade. And if a family member is about to make the same purchase you did, you now have the knowledge to steer them somewhere better. The rest of this video is for them too, because here are the 3 places where the math actually works. The first is a reputable local independent jeweler who has been in business for at least 15 years. They let you pick a loose stone from a GIA report before setting it. They don't have a mall lease eating their margin. Their markup typically runs a fraction of what a chain charges. They survive on reputation and repeat customers, not foot traffic. Bring them 3 GIA reports of stones you found online. A good independent will either match the price or tell you honestly why theirs costs more. The bad ones get exposed in one conversation. The second is buying loose diamonds online from established dealers who provide GIA reports and 360-degree video of the actual stone. Then have a local jeweler set it. This separates the stone purchase from the setting purchase, which is exactly how the trade itself buys diamonds. You pay material price plus a small dealer margin and a few $100s for setting labor. The total often comes in at less than half of what you'd pay at a branded store for the same specifications. The third is lab-grown diamonds. Here is where the entire pricing structure of the industry has cracked open in the last few years. Lab-grown stones are chemically, optically, and physically identical to mined diamonds. The same hardness of 10 on the Mohs scale, the same refractive index. Independent labs grade them on the same 4 Cs. The wholesale price has collapsed to a small fraction of mined equivalents. That drop has finally started reaching retail. A 2-carat lab-grown of excellent specifications now costs less than a half-carat mined stone of comparable quality at a chain. The only argument against them is resale. Resale on mined diamonds from retail purchases is already terrible. You're choosing between 2 stones that both lose most of their value the day you buy them, except one of them costs a quarter as much going in. So, here is the climax. The single number on a grading report that tells you in 3 seconds whether you're being overcharged. It is not the carat weight, it is not the color or the clarity grade. It is the report number itself, printed at the top of every GIA certificate. Type that number into the GIA database on their website. The report will show you the exact specifications the lab certified. Then, with that report number, search the major online diamond dealer sites. Most reputable dealers list their stones by GIA report number. You will see, in plain numbers, what other sellers are asking for the exact same stone. If the store in front of you is charging more than 30% above the lowest legitimate online price for that same report number, you are paying a story price. That is the test. That is the whole trick the industry doesn't want you to learn. Here is your simple decision rule going forward. Under $2,000, buy lab-grown from a reputable online seller and set it locally. Between $2,000 and $10,000, buy a GIA-graded loose-mined or lab-grown stone online and have it set by a local independent. Above $10,000, only buy from a jeweler who shows you the GIA report before you commit. They must let you verify the report number on the GIA site in front of them. They must price within 30% of comparable online listings. If any seller refuses any part of that process, walk out. There are too many honest options left to tolerate one dishonest one. What you just learned is what people inside the trade learn in their first year and spend their whole careers hoping customers never figure out. It is not complicated. It is not secret in the sense of being hidden. It is only secret because nobody on the selling side has any reason to teach it to you. You came in here thinking you needed to trust a brand. You're leaving knowing you only need to trust a report number and a calculator. If this helped, the most useful thing you can do is share it with the person in your life who is about to propose, or about to buy an anniversary gift, or about to walk into a mall jeweler this weekend with a credit card and a head full of commercials. They will not know to ask any of this on their own. Subscribing here means joining the people who decided, quietly, that they were done being marked up by a system that counts on them not knowing better. I read every comment, so tell me this. Which of the 6 brands surprised you the most? Have you ever owned a piece from one of them? I want to know your story, because the moment you walk into a store armed with a GIA report number, a phone, you stop being a customer and you start being a buyer. And buyers finally get to keep their money. Before you close this tab and go back to your day, I want to leave you with a few more details that almost nobody mentions on camera. They cut a little too close to the bone for the industry to be comfortable with them. In 1947, a copywriter named Frances Garrity, working at the NW, Air Agency in Philadelphia, scribbled 4 words on a notepad at the end of a long day. "A diamond is forever." She almost threw it away. That single line, adopted by De Beers and pushed relentlessly through magazines, films, royal weddings for the next 50 years, is the reason you believe a diamond should cost 2 months of your salary. That number, by the way, started as 1 month in the 1930s. It was bumped to 2 inches the 1980s. In Japan, during the same campaign, it was pitched as 3. The figure was invented in a conference room. It has no relationship to value, scarcity, or love. It was a quota for the sales floor. Consider also what happens to these stones the moment you walk out of the store. A 1-carat round brilliant purchased for $8,200 at a mall chain in 2019 was appraised for insurance at $12,000. That felt reassuring, until the owner tried to sell it back in 2023 and was offered $1,900. That is not a glitch. That is the structure. Retail markups in the branded segment routinely run between 200% and 400% over wholesale. The resale market does not care what the receipt said. It cares about the 4 C's, the report and the spot price that week in Antwerp or Mumbai. Some of you are going to push back and say the brand is the experience. That you are paying for the box, the lighting, the champagne, the story you tell at the dinner table. That is fair. If you have done the math and decided the theater is worth $4,000 to you, nobody can argue with that choice. But choice requires knowledge. The person who pays the premium knowing exactly what it buys is a collector. The person who pays it because a salesperson in a navy blazer implied the stone itself was worth that much is a mark. The only difference between the two is the 15 minutes you just spent listening to me. So write down these 3 things before you shop. The GIA or AGS report number. The price per carat for that exact specification on 2 reputable online retailers. And the words, "I would like to see the report before we discuss price."